Have you ever dated like a Chinese girl from like mainland China? Like, like a little, what do you call them? FOBs? Fresh off the boat, you know what I mean?
Straight up.
Straight off
Straight
the
up
boat.
from mainland China?
Yeah, straight up.
Alright. Straight up from mainland China, yeah, dude. I have dated, dude, I love dating FOBs, first of all, I'll say that. And I've dated so many girls that are just straight from like Taiwan, Hong Kong, or China. So
okay.
I have a whole breadth of experience. But the problem with me is that I've never dated a non-Asian. So you or someone else, we could probably have a different episode on that where we just talk about like dating non-Asians as Asians, as Asian men. So if you guys want to see that, leave a comment below. Let us know if you want to see that. But yeah, my thoughts on dating Chinese women straight from like mainland China.
Yeah.
I mean, what question did you have for that, bro?
All right, so let's start off with like do these women like have this like this tiger mother attitude?
Tiger mother attitude? Do you mean like they're boss babes kind of?
Yeah, like boss babes, like they're kind of like a little spoiled too much and they feel kind of like entitled to stuff.
That's very interesting. I wouldn't say they're spoiled. I mean, some of them really are. Like,
You're like, nah, no, they are, bro. They're freaking spoiled, bro.
I mean, especially if they're like from Shanghai. I feel like those girls are the ones. I mean, have you dated a girl from Shanghai?
Nah. From
You never dated any girl that's straight from China.
No, not straight from China.
That just came here within the past like 5 years or so.
Nah, I'm not on Tantan. I should be. I want to be on Tantan.
Tell them about Tantan, bro.
Dude,
Like,
so
what's up,
Tantan's a dating app for like mostly Asian, like from mainland China.
Yeah,
or something,
from mainland China. Yeah. And then that's where I dated a lot of like girls straight from China. Like
Is
they
that
just
active?
came here.
Is Tantan active? Like,
I don't know.
do
I
you get
haven't
a lot
used
of
it for a long
dates?
time, but Tantan was good when I was using it. Like I met a lot of Chinese girls straight from China from there, like FOBs. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we should define like what FOB is. FOB, I would say you came here within the past 5 to 10 years. You weren't born in America. I mean, I know it's like some girls that, or even guys, right? Just like people in general. Like you could be a guy FOB or a girl FOB. But if you came here probably in middle school, you could still be a FOB very well if you don't learn the English culture that quick. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's just some people who they pick it up really quick. There's some people who just came here within a year and they picked it up like really quick. They like talk super ABC, like Asian born and Chinese.
You think they teach English there in China?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, okay.
Not even in Taiwan because, you know, we're both Taiwanese and they don't really teach that in Taiwan that much. And you have to actually go out of your way to learn it. So, but like this whole thing back to tiger mother. Or boss babe Chinese girls.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's the stereotype from Crazy Rich Asians. You watch Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone thinks that like, Asians are like crazy and rich,
Dude, that's a good question, man. And, actually, I kind of take it back. Yeah, there are a lot of girls that are boss babes, but it's a different kind of spectrum. Like, like their norm, I would say, is just more like, okay, what's your status? How much money do you make? Do you have these qualities? Do you want kids? That's it. So I every time I dated these girls straight from China, like these FOB girls, I felt like it was kind of like a checklist, It was to a point where...
For them, right? Not for you, but for
them. A checklist for them, correct.
Yeah.
So every time I said certain keywords, it would be like, she pauses for a second. She's like...
Just stop it, bro. She's like, oh, wait, what did you just say? She's trying to process it, right?
Yeah, she's processing it. Or if it's something that she doesn't agree with, she also looks at me like...
Dude, I love that look.
And then they don't say anything, right? But then you also have the ones who are like super boss babe and they would say whatever the fuck they want. They'd be like, oh, really? But right?
Say, no, wait, hold on. I'm not finished.
Yeah. So it could be one or the other. It's like they're judging internally. And, it could be like that in America too, right? But I feel like with China, it's a lot more prominent where it's just like a checklist where it's like thinking to themselves. They're like, is this okay? Is this guy okay? Oh, that's a plus. Okay. And then there would be certain times. Why do I say it's a checklist? Is because there's certain times where we don't even connect, like spiritually, on a physical basis, on an emotional basis, and I just feel like she's already still trying to pursue me. You know, and I'm like, there's no sort of connection. Like, it's totally different in Asia, but I feel like in China it's way different, because in America we want to be connected. Like, we want to have like the same interests, right? We want to be able to talk like ping pong. We want to be able to communicate like really well, and like for over there in China, it's just like
they prioritize stability, right? Or more like
it's not even necessary. It's stability in a different way, in a different context. It's more like
not emotional, but kind of like financial.
It's kind of like exactly, like a little bit probably like financial stability. What's your beliefs? Do you want to have kids? Do you support me doing this?
This sounds more like a transaction, or like you know, more than like getting to know the person.
And then in America, and by the way, I'm not saying like all Chinese girls are like this. I'm just saying like more prominently compared to America. Like in America, what do we look for as guys? Like, what do you look for in a girl? Like, what makes you more connected or on an emotional basis with a girl?
Just feeling like loved and supported.
Love and supported, right? But that goes different, right? It could be on a different context. For like girls in China, I feel loved and supported because this guy spoils me with money. He provides stability, right? But then in America, I feel like girls are more like, oh, he's funny. Oh, we're able to talk about this. He has the same interests as me. We like the same music. We go to the same music festivals. He's very ambitious with his work. And it's more like on all aspects, it's like you guys can connect, right? For example, you guys both like to play pickleball. It's like, oh yeah, he likes to play pickleball. But then with Chinese culture, it's not like, oh yeah, he likes to swim. I like to swim too. Like, we could talk about swimming.
Which one do you think is more important? Or do you like...
I mean, of course, we're going to say American culture is more important. Of course, that's what we're bred to be.
Also because we're guys and we're not girls, too? That also plays a factor into it?
That we're guys, not girls? Like, you mean on an emotional basis? I feel like, yeah. You know, like, I feel like girls definitely look at money and stability, status, and all that a lot more than guys do. So, I think with China, like Chinese women, they look at it more than American women. Of course, like, American women still look at that like, oh, do you have money, right? I'm not saying all girls are gonna be like, oh, I want to date a rich guy, but they don't want to date a brokey for sure.
So would you say that like for like Asian women, they make it more like known to you, or like they're just kind of more pushy, or like you kind of feel the pressure, but then like American women, they kind of be like, oh, and like they aren't like as heavy on it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like with American women, it's like, it's a lot less. But then with Chinese women, like, let's go back to that checklist example, right? So that checklist example is like, they are mentally taking note, and then whenever I say certain keywords, right, I just to repeat what I said, they just look at me like, oh shit. Or it's like, if I go like, yeah, it'd be cool if, I have a woman who's like just very nurturing and caring, and then she's like, oh shit, like, this guy wants to take control of a woman, but that's not what I mean, right? But then you see them kind of processing it. They're like thinking about it, like, oh, what the fuck.
Okay, I can see.
Yes, so then I could see there's a lot of times where they keep it internal. They don't say what they really want to say, and I don't think it's just because I make it like that. Some people might argue it's probably because the way you talk to them, it makes them scared to want to say what they actually believe, right? I get that. I know there's guys out there like that, but I think what it is that like they don't even, sometimes they don't even want to bother. Like, they're just like, okay, like, this guy meets these certain criteria, okay. And how do I know that? Is because like, once some of these girls, when they find out my status, when they find out the amount I make, they find out the stability, certain beliefs, like I want kids, I could fuck them, and I end up fucking them and having sex with them easily. Because of that, these certain qualities. Once I take them to my house, once they know like my job, boom, it's done. And with American women, it's like I have to connect spiritually and like be like, oh yeah, like, I'd be funny, and then like she laughs, and it's more work with American women. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Is it more rewarding?
It's more rewarding for American women, but then with Chinese women, it's like a little bit empty. It's kind of like empty.
Oh, it is.
And then, some of them have described it too. They're like, in the past when I had sex with these Chinese guys, it just felt like I just needed to get it done. It was just a duty. I never enjoyed it. And I was like,
shoot,
bro, that sounds fucked up. Like you can't even enjoy sex. You're just having sex just
like a chore.
because it's a chore. It's a traditional. It's a tradition because you just do that to breed children or to make him feel appeased,
Yeah.
So I think, dude, that's sad.
It is. It really is. Like, whoa, shoot. So when they come over to America, they're like, oh, shoot. Like, we could actually find, like, an emotional connection instead of just, like...
No, well, I think that's different because like, everyone, no matter where you go, right? For example, I went to Taiwan for, like, 2 years. Yeah. I still had not traditional. I still had, like, cultural beliefs that were embedded in me that I could not accept from, like, the Taiwanese culture. So I feel like there's just... Because, in Taiwan or a lot of Asia, they're not as communicative. And then I couldn't accept that. I was just like, if you can't communicate, that's a big thing. And so it's like, she would be like, well, we're in Taiwan right now. I'm like, shit, that's a good point. You got me there. You got me there. We're in Taiwan. So I don't know, man. And then, so when girls from China, when they come over, they probably still have that same expectation. It's probably like, oh, like, I grew up with this. Why do I need to bend to your will? Is it because you're a guy? And I've been asked that before. They're like, is it because you're a man that I have to listen to you?
From these women
from these women, yeah. I'm like, no, like, why would you go to, like, my best friend's house when we're having an argument? That's just weird to me. Like, why would you need to go to, like, my best friend's house when we're having an argument and not tell me? That's sketch. And anyone can answer that. Anyone who's watching this right now, what's your opinion? Let us know in the comments. Is that fucking sketch? Because honestly, that's sketch. You're not going to tell me, but my best friend, I have to hear from my best friend. Hey, yeah, let me go to your house, but don't tell Panda about it. Let's keep this secret. My best friend is the one that ends up telling me. She was like, hey, let's keep this secret. I was like, what the fuck? And then when I pointed this out, look at Dayla's face. When I pointed this out to her, she's like, well, why do I have to listen to you? Like, why can't I do what I want? I'm like, this is kind of borderline cheating. Yeah. So I feel like some of these women from China, like, they still have this freedom where they want to be able to do what the fuck they want. And then they don't want to listen to you. I mean, same goes with America, but in terms of, like, what they believe in, it's still going to be embedded in them. They're not going to change just because they're in America. That's what I want to say. Yeah. That was a long tangent. Yeah. Do
you notice that, like, from girls in China, like, they have different beauty standards than...
Yeah, for like, sure. I think in Asia in general, they have different beauty standards. And then they still bring a different beauty standard over here. It's like more of the FOB look, right? Like without the eyeliner, without the...
Is this like, are we describing the anime cosplay?
Kind of like a little bit like that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, even like China girls and Taiwan girls, Japanese girls. Like when you say cosplay, people think like Japanese girls, like ooh girls, but I think it's all like Asia. They more so have that K-pop look, Yeah, it's not like the ABG look. So yeah, that's a difference there. But then
that's a good point.
I do want to go back to what you like, thinking about it a little bit more. I do want to go back to what you said with tiger mom attitude women in China. They kind of do have that attitude because it's like...
What would you describe this attitude, though? Is it like aggressiveness or like just like...
That's the thing. It's hard to describe. It's more like...
Territorial
I'm not going to put my beliefs down for your ass. And I think women, they have a really good trait where they're able to be selfless. And that's what men love. Men love that selflessness that women have. And if you don't have that... Like, for example,
dude,
I'm not expecting you to cook and clean for me while I just sit around and do nothing. I'm not saying that. Like, my beliefs are we could do that together, right? But then, for example, if I say that to like a Chinese woman, she might be like, why do I need to cook and clean? even though we're doing it together, why can't I just do what I want to do? And it'd be like a kind of a fight back, or it'd be like the silent treatment, what I said, and then it'd be like she'd look at me like
not
and judging,
right? And then just like giving you facial expressions,
and it would be a negative point on the checklist.
Oh.
It'd be like, okay, so he doesn't meet that criteria. He's a controlling motherfucker. So
so they just automatically assume that, like,
yeah,
if you say that.
Yeah, but I don't want to make this whole video like negative, because I think Chinese women, and I'll say this from like the bottom of my heart, right? Because Chinese women, they go through a lot of bullshit with Chinese men, and I think because Chinese men, they have that more traditional mindset where it's like you have to cook and clean, don't work, and I'm just gonna be a fat bum and just stay around. Dude, have you seen? Let's just say, for example, you go to like a Chinese restaurant around here, right? Have you seen those couples?
Dude, I know what you're talking about. Dude. All right. Is this right? Like there's like an Asian couple, right? And then there's a guy, right? He kind of like Buddha looking, a little big, right?
Yeah.
And a little chunky, and he's always there eating stuff. And then the girl is just always there, like taking care of him, like, you know, like, oh, you want another beer? Let's get another beer or something like that, right?
Yeah.
A little bit like that,
kind of like that. But I was thinking of something else. Okay. There's that, but then there's also the type where it's just like, and I think the type I'm thinking about is probably more of majority, right? They're just on their phones, and then they're just like both texting, or the guy's just playing his game, and then the girl is probably just editing her photos or some shit. And that all ties back to how they have this very superficial, and it's just like connected based on status. It's not like we're emotionally connected. Like you see Americans when they go out, they're like having a good time, they're chatting, like even though they've been together for a long time. But for like Chinese couple, they're both on their phones. They're just doing their own thing. I'm not saying like Americans don't do that. American couples don't do that. I'm just saying they do it a lot less than Chinese couples. Whenever I go to like a Chinese restaurant, I see like 3, 4, 5 couples doing the same thing. They're just on their phones. I'm like, bro, this is their level of connection, dude, and it's sad. So what I'm trying to say with this is that I'm not the type to go like, yeah, I just want to play my video games while you cook and clean, right? But if, for example, I say something like we both cook, she'll be like, why do you get to demand what the fuck I do? So I feel like they really want to take their freedom with a lot of respect, because they see all these Chinese guys. A lot of Chinese guys are like ma baos. Ma baos means like mama's boys, right? And then all they know how to do is just reap off their parents' money, because I'm saying like the rich Chinese guys, most of them, right? They would just like take over their parents' business and then just reap their parents' money, and then they have a wife who cooks and cleans, and he just plays video games and doesn't really put in that much work to the company, their parents' business. And a lot of divorces happen because of this, actually. So that actually fuels Chinese women to be more like, why should I do this shit for you? I had a divorce before, and my guy was like this. So, and I listened to so much of his shit, and I sacrificed a lot for him. Why should I do that for you? So
they have.
Yeah, so I think a lot of Chinese women, they have that traditional mindset going into a relationship or a marriage.
Or they had bad experience before.
Yeah, but then once they divorce, they're like, fuck you. Why should I do that? And I'll be a little fair. I've been on more dates with divorced Chinese women than like just young, no history girls. So
No. Yeah, that does make sense though, because like after they've been divorced and they realize like they weren't treated correctly or fairly, then like they come back with like, oh, okay, I should like have these standards or whatever, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's like divorce with anywhere. But I would say even like single girls who never had a divorce or even like a bad experience, like they could still very well be like very aggressive and like, no, I had this, like guys treat me like this, guys buy me this, because the culture there is the guy pays for everything. And
it's not like America where it's kind of like,
yeah, 50, where we're considering 50-50. And then the expectation is the girl is going to be more traditional. But
like doing traditional roles.
Yeah, doing traditional roles. Honestly, I don't really see that though. I mean,
the traditional roles disappeared, right? The roles. Or?
I don't know. I'm not clear on that.
Okay.
So I will answer that. I'm not clear if girls in China are actually traditional, but from the divorced girls, they did tell me that they were very traditional and they sacrificed a lot for this guy who ended up just being a spoiled motherfucker, who had a second mom, which is her. And so that's what made her, maybe they are traditional, but from what I see a lot of Chinese girls that just care about their beauty, and then they just post a lot on Instagram, and they're just like concerned about taking photos and shit. I don't know.
I see that too. I think it's
so I really don't know what it is beyond closed doors, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's all I have for questions about women from China.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll just wrap it up here then, man. I mean, in terms of like dating them, I do think that if you're a guy who just wants like a trophy wife, I guess that's fine, and you like that Chinese look, then that's fine. If you're a guy that is into less of a emotional connection, because I'm not saying like all Chinese girls are like that. I mean, I have dated a handful of girls who want that emotional connection, are able to facilitate that emotional connection, but for the most part, a lot of the conversations that I have with these Chinese girls, it's dead. And it's not even just because of like the language barrier. Why are you smirking like that? It's not even because of the language barrier, but it's more so I just think it's how they were probably brought up, you know. They were probably brought up where it's like, this is how relationships should be, and then in America we're brought up with like, you should have a relationship where you guys can bond a lot, like emotionally and all of that. So I mean, would I say that one is better than the other? I mean, it could very well likely be that the marriage rates are going down in America because we have this high expectation. I want a girl or a guy who I'm connected with emotionally, good sex, has this, has that, has a good job. You know, like it's the whole package now we're looking for. Like if you think about back then in our parents' generation, right? They didn't have gyms, bro. Right? So everyone was not really fit, you know? But they only had sports to be fit, or they had to be on a strict diet. And so now we have gym, we have IG. So gym is like your physique, right? Improving your physique. IG is like improving your social capabilities, your social media presence. And then you have like a whole plethora of things that you need to worry about in America. Like, does this guy or girl have all of these things? If so, then dude, that's a big plus. But back then they didn't really need to worry about that. So could it be that our standards are getting higher? That's why marriage and relationships are just failing. I thought about that recently. That's a crazy, I mean, everyone's coming up with the approach that dating apps are fucking us up. What if it's just our standards are getting fucked up? And maybe like China, right?
Because of social media.
Yeah, maybe China. They just have this like basic principle: just find a guy who's stable.
Is that how it is in China? Is it just?
I mean,
you think? Or,
yeah, I think that's what
I don't know.
They
I'm
teach
asking
it.
because I don't know. Yeah.
Like just from like what my experience with like the whole checklist thing and their feedback and me reading them, maybe I'm wrong, but like anyone could comment. Anyone with like a crazy amount of experience, if you're born over there and you were raised there, then yeah, like let me know in the comments. But I honestly think, what if they have this basic principle like, yo, just find a guy who's like stable and all that shit, then you're chilling. Or find a girl that's pretty, you're chilling. I don't know, maybe they're probably doing it better than us, but their divorce rates are pretty high up there too.
No,
so
I don't know. Recently as well. That's what I heard recently as well.
So maybe everyone just needs to reconsider what the fuck is going on. I don't know. Like, we don't necessarily have a good or bad. It's just confusing on all sorts.
What would you choose though? All right, Panda. Like at the end of it, would you choose like a relationship where you bond emotionally?
Well, that's the thing. We're born here. You know, if we were born here, so we're gonna have that principle.
Like even though we grew up in like an Asian household in America, you still feel like the America like stereotypes and like beliefs kind of are far more embedded than your Asian ones right now.
It makes a lot more sense because I've tried that where I just go for a girl just for status or how she looks, and the way she made me feel was a little bit crazy. I was like, I can't deal with it. So I've experimented a lot, and the American mindset of relationships actually appeals to me more and makes sense to me more. But the Chinese mindset is just kind of like, okay, it's just like superficial to me. But they could say that we're superficial, that our way of going about relationships is superficial.
How so?
Like being emotionally connected, that could be superficial. You know, I know some girls who are like, why do I need a bond emotionally? I just need a guy who can buy me a purse. I don't know. Everyone has different definitions of materialism, but to me, that's materialistic. Yeah. But anyways, that's my fucking bullshit. But if you guys do want to see more about, like, maybe we break down the standards of American mindset of dating, we could get into that too. Like, I was thinking recently, what if we had this all wrong? What if our whole dating is all fucked up? Modern dating is fucked up because our standards are going through the roof. So if you want to see that video, let us know in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys.